So because the Jiva Shakti is a dependent energy, it cannot be happy on its own. Therefore, there is this mentality to extend the regime of the self by grabbing onto things and by grabbing onto people. So the fact that the Jiva wants material things and the Jiva wants uh, he looks forward to a family is a proof that the Jiva Shakti is a dependent energy. On his own, the Jiva can never be happy. So therefore we say we need people, we need relationships. Now, from a materialistic outlook or from a materialistic conception, family life is generally seen as a simulation ground to to exercise controllership mentality or to simulate oneself to be the supreme. So that is the exploitative vision, and it is generally the principle of. So one wants a very stable ground on whom to exercise control. So family life becomes a very fixed ground in one sense. You see, for the exploitative person, the family becomes a very fixed ground because one can exercise control over anyone, but then generally what happens is that suppose there is a boss, he's very bossy, people will leave that company and run away. They won't stay. But generally, family life, uh, the once fixed, it is almost fixed. Like a child, if he's born at some place, means the poor fellow is born. He can't do anything about it. So now for 18, 20 years, he has to be there itself, wherever he is born. So whatever the setting has to tolerate. And Vedic culture, now marriage is not so easily broken. So the family life becomes a great ground for experiencing that uh, family culture becomes a great ground for simulation. Actually, this that simulation, and the principle of this material world is The more we try to exploit any concept, the more that concept entangles. So material things can entangle us to a limited degree, but relationships can entangle us to a larger degree because they're relationships, because people are involved. So things can entangle us to a limited degree. But the entanglement of people is much more. In fact, actually, on a materialistic note, the family life offers one. Uh, uh, Family life offers one. Uh, so family life actually offers one a great amount of intoxication, intoxication and entanglement. Why? Because family life is like a mirror. It's like a it's like a concave mirror actually. So whatever radiations are exuding out, they get invested back again. So that means self-centered resonates and grows very powerfully. It's like being surrounded by mirrors on all sides, where you can very naturally feel or experience uh, prominence. Can very naturally feel. One can very naturally feel himself or herself as the object of service and prominence. That's what happens in materialistic family life. Therefore, actually, it's like mirrors. So all radiations radiate back again. Actually, it creates a resonance. So one is actually one gets lost in that resonance. Actually. Therefore, you will see uh, people for the sake of family practically uh, practically ready to stretch and squeeze to any extent. Actually, stretch and squeeze to any extent. Therefore, the Shastras describe family life as a quicksand. One gets very strongly entangled because one experiences these feelings of very prominently. He experiences the feelings of prominence and being the object of service, being the object of service. That's uh, so that is poisonous for the living entity. But because the living entity experiences that very prominently, and the setting is naturally the setting is quite natural. Like for example, it is very natural for a small child to naturally depend on parents. Where else? What else he will do? Similarly, the constitutional architecture of a child is that parents are very naturally, obsessed about the child. So that grooves are actually made in such a way. The family life, all of them get very strongly connected together. Therefore, it's a hard knot. To knock it out is not easy. It's a hard knot actually. It is a hard knot. So we have to understand that. And that is why you will see that because it is such a hard knot, therefore you will see family life is a perfect ground in which uh, unrestricted expectations may flow. Unrestricted expectations may flow. Just like a child may go unrestricted in his or her demands. Unrestricted. Uh, so sometimes, so children many a times their demands are so much they go to any extent to fulfill their demands. There are cases where so you see sometimes so that is why it is explained that a man sometimes to fulfill the demands of the wife and the child, he is foaming in the mouth. You know, he's working hard and slogging, working hard. So that because that's happening. That's happening on every level. That happens. So the demands and expectations can very strongly flow within this network actually. And because the expectations can very strongly flow and becomes a breeding ground and it becomes a compulsion to it becomes an obligation to actually fulfill. So that makes one that completely knocks out the living entity, or we can say that makes one more and more diseased in oneself, more and more diseased. Like you see sometimes children they have the insatiable desire to go to the say western world like that, but it's not easy, it's very costly, very costly going, living. So sometimes parents have to take loan, put their whole house everything on mortgage, and struggle, and this and the child is chilling out. I've seen in Australia so many cases. The children are chilling out with the girlfriend, having a gala time. The poor fellow parents are struggling, sending practically a lakh rupees a month or so, just so that this fellow can survive. So the tuition fees, the living, everything is in the sky. So so expectations very strongly. Similarly, we see many times the all sides we can see examples. Similarly, parents when they get a handle, they don't leave the child. They have their share of expectations. Okay, we want a house. We want service. So I remember my grandfather very smart. You know, so uh, so many times old parents are very smart actually. What they do is that they uh, they're very smart. Sometimes so they show the carrot of the property, the land and the property, and everybody wants to serve, and then they take nice service. They say yes, 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 So, so that way, so they will go to. I have seen actually. I have seen. So they'll go to say one son, and then they'll say, okay, you are the well-to-do, so property will put in the name of the other fellow, and these people will become very much shaken up, and they will increase the service attitude. No, 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 no. So and these are and then the old parent they'll take good service. They're very nice, very nice. Material service only. Material service only. So they'll take good khatidari, everything and all that. Then after some months, they'll go to the other fellow. And then they will say, "Hey, your brother, we are thinking of putting the property in his name." Like that. And oh, that one word is sufficient to, uh, surcharge them. And then they will be ready to serve, these old days, what they will do. So I remember, so these are, uh, this is, so actually this expectation game is so strong, actually. The person can be completely caught up. Therefore, it is explained that one should not be attached to family life. One should not be attached to family life. So, as a practicing sadhaka, we have to understand that this, no, we can say, such kind of a prominent ground for giving a full vent to one's expectations, for having a full experience of, prominence, and uh, and being the object of service is highly poisonous for the living entity. It's highly poisonous for us. It's highly poisonous for us. And therefore, one should be very cautious in family life. And what should one be cautious about? The point which one should make sure is that we are entering into relationship with people to serve them, not to experience prominence in service. So this is where we understand, okay, what is the meaning of relationships. The sweetness of relationships is exercised in service. And the sweetness of relationships is exercised in service. And the notion of service is, uh, the notion of service is, uh, the notion of service, uh, yeah, so the notion of this notion of service is not uh, uh, this notion of service is with Krishna, not without Krishna. That means it is all encompassing service. That means it is spiritual service, which we are talking about. That means it is spiritual service, holistic service, factual service, actual service, lasting service. So that is the notion of any kind of relationships. So relationships are not at all a problem. Rather, spiritual life also depends on association and deep relationships. They can offer us protection and nourishment. But the purpose of coming together is to help each other serve Krishna better. That is service. To help each other serve Krishna better. That is service. So if that is the attitude, uh, then in that context, Prabhupada is saying that there is no need of giving a family life. So then renunciate family life doesn't matter because it is all devotees, Sangha of devotees, and the attitude of service. That is what is explained. That's what is explained. So therefore, we have to understand that actually our family is not exactly no. So therefore, we have to understand that what exactly is a family. Family means so our so therefore we have to understand that what exactly so devotees who are helping us to serve Krishna better, no, that is family. That's called as family. Devotees are who are helping us to serve Krishna better. That's family. So therefore, on a spiritual note, one is able to consider, uh, the entire devotee community as one's family, you know, and and with more refined thought process, one can understand the entire world as one's family as well. One can understand the entire world as one's family with more refined, meditation and more refined thinking, because everyone is part and parcel of Krishna, and helping people come towards Krishna is the greatest service to Krishna. Therefore, everyone is our family because they are helping us get connected. You are helping us serve and please Krishna. So therefore, so in reality, actually, the entire world is our family. Yeah, the entire world is our family. So when one accepts the entire world as one's family, then we will see uh, when one accepts the entire world as one's family, uh, then to continue with that conception, Krishna consciousness is required. So that is the only way to accept, no, to have this vision is Krishna consciousness. And in this way, relationships will not be entangling. Rather, relationships will catalyze our advancement. The relationships will enhance our advancement in Krishna consciousness or in our progressive spiritual journey. Relationships will enhance. Okay, so there is question that it appears that modern free culture is lesser attached to family life. So example is hippies were able to pick up Casey, but Indians could not. So everybody has his ways, or you can say everybody has his specific disease. Uh, Everybody has a specific disease. So uh, now the Indians have a specific disease of getting too attached to family life. Uh, uh, but the Western world, they had that specific. They had another kind of specific disease. Uh, so their other kind of their other kind of specific disease is an intense obsession to sensuality, which is a big obstacle, which requires lot of hard work. So we see the point that uh, uh, now, in one sense, now objectively speaking, we saw that okay, 1970s hippies took to Krishna consciousness easily, as the Indians are not able to take to Krishna consciousness. Yes, hippies could take to Krishna consciousness because of uh, so now the point is that taking to Krishna consciousness uh, uh, so Indians were attached to family life, whereas hippies were not. See, the point is that taking to Krishna consciousness is anyways I mean more important than taking to or coming to Krishna consciousness. The factor which you have to see is that who is staying in Krishna consciousness and is staying in Krishna consciousness. If we see the figures actually, we will see okay, Indians, many of them are not taken to Krishna consciousness, but actually most of the Indians, they have taken to some touch of spirituality. They have already touched piety or religion to some degree, and therefore the touch is there. Whereas we saw in 1970s also many hippies and Westerners, they could touch Krishna consciousness, but it is few who continued to practice. And who continued? Those who fought with their and struggled with their condition. Those who struggle with their condition. You know? So they are the ones who could stay back, who could stay back. And the same is true for Indians. That those Indians can take to Krishna consciousness who can struggle. You know? An Indian may not be able to struggle. His ground of struggle may be a bit different. His ground of struggle may be to get out of mundane piety, social factor. That will be Indian's ground of struggle. Western's ground of struggle will be to get out of gross sensuality and so on. So, although the ground may be different, but the struggle, the struggle remains actually. So we see if we see the lives of all the devotees, Prabhupada times, who are very powerfully practicing and preaching Krishna consciousness, you see all of them struggled a lot. So that struggle involves getting out of conditionings, complacency, bearing all, tolerating all odds, austerities, and still go on. So price has to be paid to. So this way, that way, no way we can save ourselves. The grounds may differ. That's the only thing. Yes. Not being attached to family life in Western sense is irresponsibility, not attached. Yes. Materialistic attachment in Indian families that they are not able to take to so they are controlling they are controlling their families as mini Hiranyagarbha. They don't want to follow the Vedic process. Yes. 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 So this is a yes. So this is a good point that the hippies are not detached; they are irresponsible. That is, the hippies are irresponsible. So actually, they are attached to the hippies are irresponsible. So piety is, in one sense, is responsibility to some degree, but it is not all in all. One has to go further. Therefore, people get stuck up in piety. So one has to still go further. It's just a preliminary exam. There is more to go further. Now, this is the point to be understood. Okay, in the association of devotees, how should we be helping devotees in serving Krishna? Yes. We help devotees in serving Krishna. Yeah, by being very respectful to devotees, by being very sensitive to devotees. When we are respectful, sensitive, and appreciative to devotees, we will be able to see by our sensitive and respectful and appreciative behavior, we will be able to uh, provide an atmosphere for devotees in which their absorption in their service can increase. So, in a very gross way, by not creating an obstacle for other devotees' service and dampening their enthusiasm, we will do a great service. That's a basic minimum level. So, by not criticizing, insulting, mocking, and leg pulling, will do a great service. So why? Because we are allowing them to continue the service to Krishna. And if we can give some positive reinforcement, then it will enhance their service to Krishna. Therefore, sensitivity, respect, and appreciation is the foundation actually of helping devotees is the foundation. And when we have this attitude, we'll be able to see and we'll be able to visualize and or spot out moments where devotees may need some help like that, and may not be a big one, but a very timely one. So like that, we won't be able to see. Only when we are very respectful, appreciative, and sensitive, then only we'll be able to see. And it won't take much out of us, but it will boost the other devotee a lot. Like saying some good words at the right time may boost a person a lot, but it won't take much from us. No, little small gesture of help a person may need at a timely at a particular time, and if we do that, it will boost his spiritual service a lot. So that we will be able to see uh, when we are when we are respectful, appreciative, and sensitive towards devotees. Okay, so I think we'll stop here and we will continue again in our next class. Srila Prabhupada ki
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavad